So before I get started on this video, I want to give a quick shout out to the Fast Break Amino. If you guys love talking basketball, this is the place for you. The link will be at the top of my comments. So I felt like I really needed to watch this game because the Grizzlies are off to such a hot start this year. I figured they'd be a competitive team, but I thought that it would take them a bit longer to gel since they dealt with so many injuries last season. I was also really curious about the Timberwolves in the post-Jimmy Butler era, mostly how their young players are performing and how Rocco and Dario Saric fit. But before I dive deeper into my thoughts on the game, let's talk about the numbers. So final score of the game was 100-87 with the Grizzlies taking the win. For Memphis, Marc Gasol had 26 points, 13 rebounds, and 3 assists. Mike Conley had 18 points and 8 assists. And Jaren Jackson Jr. had 13 points, 2 rebounds, and 3 blocks. As a team, the Grizzlies shot 42.7% from the field, 42.9% from the three-point line, and 72% from the free throw line. Moving on to the Timberwolves, Derrick Rose had 18 points, 3 rebounds, and 3 assists. Robert Covington had 15 points, 2 rebounds, and 2 assists. And Karl Anthony Towns had 15 points, 20 rebounds, and 2 assists. As a team, the Timberwolves shot 39.2% from the field, 41.4% from behind the three-point line, and 81.3% from the free throw line. Alright, so now that you got the numbers, I want to give you guys my thoughts on this game, starting with the Grizzlies. Something I thought they did really well right from the start of the game was move the ball effectively. That means early on they were trying to get the ball inside to their 2 big men, especially Marc Gasol, as they wanted to take advantage of the strength advantage he has on Karl Anthony Towns. And when getting the ball inside became a less viable option for them, they were able to move it out to the perimeter and take advantage of the Timberwolves' weak perimeter defense. I think the biggest issue with their offense tonight was that they missed so many of the open opportunities that they created for themselves. Had those shots been falling, I'm pretty sure this game would have been a blowout. On the defensive side of things, the Grizzlies looked like one of the best teams in the NBA last night. They were absolutely smothering, never allowing the T-Wolves to get into a rhythm, and making every shot the Timberwolves took a tough one last night. Especially in the post, as Karl Anthony Towns really seemed to struggle with Marc Gasol's strength. I feel like the only place they could have been better on the defensive end last night was getting back quicker in transition. And I wouldn't necessarily say they played awful there either, it's just that's where the Timberwolves got their easiest points. The last thing I want to say about the Grizzlies is that I think their bench gave them really good minutes last night, especially Shelvin Mack and JaMychal Green. They really provided some consistency when Marc Gasol, Jaren Jackson Jr., or Mike Conley wasn't in. And the Grizzlies do eventually have some decent pieces like Dillon Brooks and Chandler Parsons coming back from injury eventually, so this bench unit should only strengthen later in the year. That's all I had to say about the Grizzlies, so let's move on to the T-Wolves. And the biggest problem for the Timberwolves by far this game was how poorly they took care of the basketball. They finished this game with 20 turnovers, and the Grizzlies are just too good defensively for them to be playing so carelessly. Another thing that really bothered me was how uninvolved Karl Anthony Towns seemed to be from the offense at times. He only got 10 shots this game, even though at times the Timberwolves were going through some serious offensive struggles and could use his productivity. And for being the Timberwolves star player, at times it felt like he had no impact on the game at all. And I don't really blame that on him. I think Tibbs needs to find more creative ways to keep him involved in the offense throughout the entire game. Defensively, I think the Wolves really struggled last night, especially in pick and roll and pick and pop situations. They really struggled to keep track of the big man, which led to some really easy Grizzly buckets. Last thing I want to say about the Timberwolves was last night, outside of Derrick Rose, I don't feel like their bench played that well, but I do feel like Tibbs should have went deeper into the bench, especially with Anthony Tolliver and Josh Okogie there. Those are both good players who could have contributed something to this game. But for the most part, those are all my thoughts on this game. I really appreciate you guys watching this video. If you enjoyed it, go ahead and leave me a like. If you enjoy NBA content in general, go ahead and subscribe to this NBA channel. And I'll see you guys next time.